Two people start the exact same job, on the exact same day, at the exact same $55,000 salary. They get the exact same raises every single year for 10 years straight. 10 years later, one of them has about $55,000 sitting in an investment account that the other one simply doesn't have. Neither of them earn more. The only difference is what happened to the raise money the moment it landed. Let's walk through what actually happens year by year. Both of them start at $55,000 a year, and both get a completely typical 3.5% raise every single year, which is close to the actual average annual merit increase in the United States. Year 1. Both get their first raise, about $1,900 a year, roughly $160 a month more than before. The first person, we'll call her the absorber, doesn't really notice it. It quietly disappears in a slightly nicer takeout, a subscription she'd been eyeing, a little more spent without much thought. The second person, the redirector, does one specific thing. He sets up an automatic transfer for that same $160, moving it straight into a simple index fund the same week the raise hits, before it ever touches his regular spending account. Year 3. Both have now gotten 3 raises. Combined, that's around $6,000 a year in additional income compared to where they started. The absorber's lifestyle has crept up to match almost exactly: a better apartment, a nicer car payment, a few more nights out. Her bank balance looks basically the same as it did on day 1, just with better stuff surrounding it. The redirector's investment account, funded by nothing but redirected raises, has quietly grown to around $11,000. Year 5. This is where it becomes visible instead of theoretical. The absorber is earning roughly $65,000 a year now, genuinely more than when she started, and yet she'd tell you she still feels like she's living paycheck to paycheck, because every single raise has been absorbed by a slightly bigger version of the same lifestyle. The redirector, earning the identical $65,000, has an investment account sitting at approximately $22,000, funded entirely by money that never had the chance to become a habit. Year 7. The redirector's account crosses $33,000, and here's the part that matters. The growth is no longer just from new contributions. A meaningful portion of that year's growth came purely from compounding on money he redirected years ago, money that's now been quietly working in the market on its own. The absorber, meanwhile, has hit a specific, common wall. Her spending has now risen so closely in step with her income for so many years that a single unexpected expense genuinely stresses her monthly budget, despite earning significantly more than she did 7 years ago. Year 10. The final numbers. The redirector's account, built from nothing but automatically redirected raises invested consistently for a decade, sits at approximately $55,000. The absorber has a nicer apartment, nicer everyday things, and a lifestyle that genuinely feels comfortable. But if you asked her to produce $55,000 in an emergency, or to walk away from her job for a year without financial stress, the honest answer is that she can't, despite having earned, cumulatively, almost exactly as much extra money over the decade as the redirector did. It's worth running the actual math behind that final number, because it's simpler than it looks. The redirector isn't investing some huge, dramatic amount. He's investing an average of roughly $250 a month over the decade, starting small in year 1 and growing as each new raise adds to the automatic transfer. $250 a month, invested consistently for 10 years at a historical stock market average return of around 8%, compounds to almost exactly $55,000. None of that required a 6-figure salary or an unusually large raise. It required an entirely average raise, redirected automatically, for a decade. There's a specific psychological reason this particular strategy works better than simply trying to save more in a vague sense, and it comes down to a concept behavioral economists call mental accounting. Money that hits a checking account and sits there, available, gets mentally categorized as spendable, regardless of good intentions. Money that's automatically redirected the same week it arrives, before it ever mixes with the rest of a paycheck, never enters that mental category at all. The redirector isn't resisting temptation 12 times a year for 10 years straight. He's simply never encountering the temptation in the first place, because the money is gone from his spending account before his brain registers it as available. Now, to be completely fair to the absorber here, because most comparisons like this one quietly aren't. She didn't waste that money in any meaningful sense. She had a decade of a genuinely nicer day-to-day life. Better meals, more comfortable living space, more spontaneous plans with friends, real experiences that a stricter budget might not have allowed. That's not nothing, and pretending it's worthless would be dishonest. The redirector's 10 years looked noticeably more restrained on a week-to-week basis in exchange for that $55,000 number existing at the end of it. Neither choice is objectively wrong. They're a real trade between present lifestyle and future flexibility, and reasonable people can land on different sides of it. It's worth understanding exactly why the absorber's path feels so effortless and normal, because almost nobody consciously decides to spend every raise. Lifestyle inflation happens specifically because a raise arrives quietly, folded into a regular paycheck, with no dramatic moment forcing a decision about it. Nobody sits down and actively chooses to spend a raise. The absence of a decision is the decision, and spending simply expands to fill whatever room the new number leaves available, almost always without anyone noticing it happening in real time. There's also a real-world version of this exact strategy that some employers now build directly into compensation systems, automatically escalating 401k contribution rates. Many retirement plans let you set your contribution percentage to increase by 1 percentage point automatically every time you get a raise, before the extra money ever reaches your take-home pay at all. Research from major retirement plan providers has found that employees enrolled in these auto-escalation programs save significantly more over time than employees who have to manually decide to increase their contribution every single year, for exactly the same reason the redirector in this comparison comes out ahead. Removing the decision removes the chance to talk yourself out of it. The redirector's strategy works for exactly the opposite reason. It removes the decision entirely by making it automatic once at the start. He didn't have superior willpower fighting off temptation every single month for 10 years. He simply never let the money arrive somewhere he'd have to actively resist spending it. The transfer happened the same week as every raise, before the new, larger number ever became his mental baseline for what felt normal to spend. So here's the actual takeaway. This $55,000 gap didn't come from a bigger salary, a lucky investment, or unusual disciplined exercise daily for a decade. It came from one repeatable decision, made new each time a raise landed, redirected immediately before a new spending baseline has the chance to quietly form around it. One honest caveat worth adding. This comparison assumes both people's base expenses stay covered the entire time, which won't be true for everyone in every year. A real emergency, a genuine need, or a major life event might legitimately require dipping into what would otherwise be redirected. The strategy isn't about rigidly redirecting every single raise no matter what happens in a given year. It's about that being the automatic default, the thing that happens unless a real reason says otherwise, rather than lifestyle spending being the automatic default that happens unless real discipline says otherwise. If seeing where $55,000 can quietly come from, with zero difference in income, changed how you think about your own next raise, that's exactly what this channel exists to do. Take everyday financial decisions and show you the real math hiding underneath them. Like and subscribe for the next one.